Hi everybody and welcome back to Redline. And today we've got a very interesting twin test for you. So here on my left we have Cupra's current hot hatchback, the CUPRA Leon 300. And here to my right we have this car's predecessor, the SEAT Leon Cupra 280. Interestingly, with a Sub8 Pack. Now, this was the first front-wheel drive hatch to go around the Nürburgring in less than 8 minutes. So today we're doing a very simple test. Which of these two cars is more fun? Is it the previous SEAT Leon Cupra 280 or is it the current car? Have they moved the game forward? Is the CUPRA Leon 300 a more fun car to drive than this? So for the purpose of this test, we're going to ignore the fact that there is a huge price difference between the used values of one of these and what it costs to buy a brand new CUPRA Leon 300. No, this is purely done for the science of it, okay? We just want to know which one of the two cars is the most fun, money no object, which one would I rather go home with? And as you can see, we're starting in the SEAT Leon Cupra 280 because what I want to do is I want to get a good baseline for this car before we move on to the CUPRA 300 and really start exploring the differences between the two. In terms of fun factor, this CUPRA 280 has plenty of it. So let's show it an interesting piece of road. In fact, we have driving modes, Comfort, Sport, Cupra, Individual, which is the one that I've just gone into now. And the great thing about this car is you can really chuck it into the corner on the brakes and then use the diff to pull you out. Loads of traction on the exit of corners. And then if you want to have your own individual configuration for the driving modes, then you have the option to do that as well. Loads of straight line performance in these, really boosty little engine with good throttle response. 0 to 62 in 5.8 seconds with this manual car, 5.7 seconds in a DSG equipped car. Is it 276 brake horsepower? So yeah, plenty of poke here on offer. And yeah, it's just a really fun package. This car really is high on driver engagement. The body doesn't roll all that much. And the brakes, when you really get up the car, the brakes are mighty. Lovely, you can rev match really nicely on the down change. And the steering is just so direct. Lovely weight to it. Diff again, pulling you out the corner. It feels so good to drive this car. You can absolutely see how this thing managed to do a sub 8 minute lap time of the Nürburgring. And the funny thing is about Nürburgring lap times, particularly in hot hatchbacks, they translate so well to a British B road with all of our bumps and just crappy roads in general and all the undulations that we meet. You know, it translates perfectly well. And you can absolutely see how a car like this went quickly around the Nürburgring does so well on a B road like this one. It's fantastically entertaining. One thing I will say about this car, the manual gearbox isn't as special as the rest of the package. The rest of the package is fantastic. There's real sparkle to this. The chassis is excellent, but just the manual gearbox, the throw's a bit too long, it's not overly inspiring, and the clutch action isn't all that smooth. And I think this is a better car, and I can't believe I'm saying this because I love manuals so much, but this is a better car with a DSG. And handily, the CUPRA 300, which we're about to drive, has a DSG gearbox. Okay, so with all that being said, let's get into the CUPRA 300 and see how it compares to this 280. But before we do that, if you like what you're seeing here today, please do give the video a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you would like to learn more about the print magazine and our interactive mobile app, then I will leave links to both of those in the description below the like button. Right, let's go drive the 300. to the CUPRA Leon 300. Right, now that we have a baseline understanding of the 280, let's see what this is like. Now, the first major difference between the two cars is actually the branding. You would have noticed this is not called a SEAT, even though the base car is a SEAT Leon. CUPRA is now its own manufacturer, its own brand. So if you want to buy the fast version of the SEAT, you are now just buying a CUPRA Leon 300. This change happened a couple of years ago now. In fact, a bit longer than that. It was pre-pandemic actually. And to give you just a really good idea of how it sort of plays out within the VW group, think what a Bath is to Fiat, and you'll have a good idea of what CUPRA is to SEAT. Before we get too far into the fun aspect about this, I just want to highlight something. Okay, we're in comfort mode at the moment, which is where we started in the 280, and it's worth mentioning that in terms of overall refinement, this is a big step on from the old car. Okay, it's just quieter, it's more comfortable, and it's just more of a pleasant daily driver. That's not to say that the 280 wasn't good at those things either, but you can definitely tell that a big step has been made in the overall refinement of the car. And like in the 280, you've also got comfort, sport, CUPRA, and individual driving modes. So, as I said, we're in comfort at the moment. Let's put it into CUPRA, see what happens. Right, to CUPRA we go. You can go into sport in these CUPRA models, but CUPRA still has lots of compliance on the public road, so you kind of don't need the sport mode. You can just jump straight into CUPRA and have fun. Now, in terms of straight line performance, I definitely think the 300's quicker. It's got a little bit more power, it's got an extra 20 brake, but it has quite a lot more torque. This is 295 foot-pounds versus the 280s, I think it's 258 foot-pounds. So yeah, they're not night and day difference, but there is more straight line performance. Interestingly, the quoted 0 to 62 time for this car is still 5.7 seconds with the DSG gearbox, which is exactly the same as it is in the 280. I suspect this is a little bit heavier, so it might offset some of that deficit. But yeah, this is a marginally quicker car than the 280. Definitely loving having a DSG gearbox back. Like the 280, you can trail brake this into the corner and then use the diff to pull you out. One thing I will say, I think there's a little bit more body roll in this car, particularly when you're going around sort of a sweeping left or right hander. You can just feel the chassis leaning a little bit more. And one thing I will say as well, the steering in the 280 is just that little bit better. The weighting's a little bit heavier, and you just have this improved sense of where the front wheels are in relation to the road. Whereas in this, we're not talking about night and day differences, we're talking about diminishing returns here, but you just don't quite have that same level of connection here in the 300 as you do in the 280. That's not to say this is not entertaining or engaging in any way, because it is, and it's very efficient as well, more so than that 280, but I would say you just have that little bit of extra feel in the 280 that you don't necessarily get here. Interestingly, I'm not getting thrown around as much here in the CUPRA 300. I think the suspension's a bit more sophisticated than it is in the 280. Now, does that mean I'm having more or less fun? I think that's down to preference, if you ask me, because sometimes managing a car over the bumps can give you that sort of greater sense of engagement, and sometimes if it's a bit too easy, it gives you one less thing to think about and control. So in that respect, yes, I would say if you want more fun in terms of actually controlling the car, then maybe the 280 would be more entertaining from that aspect. But if you want something that's a bit more usable, then again, the 300 sort of comes into its own, really. I definitely think the 280 is a more visceral experience, and it's interesting, isn't it? They sent that car around the Nürburgring with the aim of getting a stonking great lap time out of it. but as far as I'm aware, there is no Nürburgring lap time of note to the name of this Cupra 300. So yes, I do think maybe the design brief for the two cars was slightly different. Maybe with that 280, they thought, right, we're going to send it around the Nürburgring and we're going to give people as pure an experience as possible compared to the car that went around the Nordschleife. Whereas this, I think they've just made a fast, I'm sorry, Cupra, a fast SEAT Leon and made it entertaining and said, right, forget the Nürburgring lap times, forget about sort of it being more of a hardcore car. Not that the 280 is overly hardcore, but just they put that to one side and just said what we're going to build here is a really nice, fun, entertaining road car. So I think that's where the two cars start to differ, and it shows. I really think that 280 is a far more visceral experience. It's not crazy visceral, but it's definitely, it requires more input, more thought, and it's just, yeah, it feels like the more hardcore car between the two. So with that all being said, let's round this up. Let's discuss which one I think is the most fun. That is a lot of fun. But is it as much fun as that SEAT Leon Cupra 280? No, I don't think it is. I think that is a funner, more entertaining car to drive than this. Now, the differences are night and day. If you've just bought one of these, or you intend to, then trust me, you're going to have a hell of a time with this. And one thing I will say is that in terms of general day-to-day refinement, this is absolutely a step on from that SEAT Leon Cupra 280. However, the purpose of this test was to find out which one of these two cars was the most fun to drive. And if you asked me which one would I rather take home, well, it would have to be this. It would have to be this 280 with the Sub8 Pack. Absolutely fabulous. Great car, but that's one hell of a hot hatchback.